Hello and welcome to the Growing Green podcast. Your host, Jeremiah Jennings, is the owner of Growing Green Landscapes in Birmingham, Alabama, and has a passion for growing the entrepreneurship community for those who are young in business. Being a business owner isn't easy, especially in the early years, and that's why in this show we dive into a wide range of topics covering all the challenges small business owners deal with. Even if your company is generating $1 million or more, the stories from our great guest and Jeremiah's own firsthand experiences will propel your business forward. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode today here on the Growing Green podcast. This is your host, Jeremiah Jennings, and I am so excited to be coming to you today with another fresh new guest interview for you. And we are excited to have the landscaping bookkeepers on with us. I've finally gotten that into my head now. I think for the most part, I've finally gotten Gulf Coast out of what I say every time. But the landscaping bookkeepers, Megan and Joey Coberly, are here with us today. How are y'all doing this afternoon now, I guess?
Yeah, we're good, Jeremiah.
We're good, yeah.
And you?
Doing good. We finally had some rain up here. So our summer's been crazy. It's like we rain. We had rain for like 2 weeks straight, and not even like summer showers. It was like rain all day. It was weird for this time of year in the summer. And then we just went dry for 2 weeks. And so we were 98s, 99s the last 2 weeks. It's been rough with no rain. But we finally got some today, so cooling everything down a little bit, extending the grass growth. I know a lot of guys out west are in trouble. They've been like dealing with droughts and stuff all year. But here we've been the opposite. And it's kind of like, but now like it got dry, and I was like, man, the fall's we might be having a crispy fall. We might be kind of squeaking out the last bit of mowing, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get some rain and keep it coming, keep the grass going, and extend the season some more, because that's what everybody's ready to be done cutting grass, but like it's the last push before winter. So like you want to extend it as long as you can before those leaves start falling.
Well, it's been the same here.
Yeah.
Weather's been, and everybody we talk to in the monthly meetings, it seems to be the same.
Yeah.
They're always struggling with Mother Nature.
We probably had 3 weeks of no rain here. Finally got some yesterday.
Yeah.
I know Texas, I don't know if they ever got rain, but the last time I talked to a guy over there, it was like day 45 or something like that. It's just absolutely insane. And
y'all are actually about to get a hurricane or a tropical depression or something, aren't you?
I think it's shifted a little bit more to like the bend, the
Panhandle.
I'm sure we'll get some of the bands.
I'm guessing we'll get rain, which
is good.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, the west side's never that bad, so
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's out of our way.
Who knows? They could pull a Sally and just sit there and then just change directions by 90 degrees. You never know.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I tell you what, we don't want to have too much small talk today. This is very value time, and I'm excited to have y'all here. Everybody here probably knows who you are. If you listen to our show, Paul's show, then you have heard of Megan and Joe, and you know what they're doing. In case they haven't, though, give us the 5-minute, 30-second rundown, however long you want to take it. But rundown of who y'all are, how you got started, kind of what you're doing now, and then I kind of want to dive into some more in-depth stuff of things you're seeing in the industry right now with business owners that are all in the same stage of business that like I'm in now, people around us that are listening to the show, what they're struggling with, how we can maybe put some solutions in place to fix that, and then head into winter in a very good place in our business.
Yeah, origin stories. So probably pretty similar to lots of my clients and who we're reaching out to. The origin story really has nothing to do with bookkeeping and everything to do with Joey and I not really enjoying 9 to 5, but not having any model to follow in our family for what entrepreneurship looks like. So we took a deep dive about 5 years ago, and I took a summer to set up the bookkeeping business, to learn how to bookkeep. I was a teacher before that. So I understood, numbers in a sense, but I had never taken any sort of course in bookkeeping. So that was brand new to us. And so we've spent the last 5 years, first of all, picking a niche, and we chose the landscaping industry, which we're so happy for. I mean, there's just so many things that me and Joy will often bounce back and forth about how, it really is the perfect ideal client. The things we see in the bookkeeping, we really feel like we can add some value for that ideal client. And so let's see, chose landscaping bookkeeper. And ever since then, we've been picking up, obviously industry-based books. So green industry, mostly on the lawn maintenance, recurring revenue side. And it's a smattering of individuals, but for the most part, I think a lot of them are like me and Joey, where they're taking a chance at entrepreneurship. They're sort of making that transition from, hey, this is just a hobby of, me being 16 years old, picking up a mower because dad said, I needed to get out of the house, and turning that now from a hobby and making money into what, we would define as a business. And moving through that transition, oftentimes one of the first things, that's parroted is to know your numbers. And so they come to us with, I think the enemy that they are presented with in the field is just not having accurate numbers. So, sometimes we could say maybe the enemy is time and just not having enough time. But honestly, you can wear that hat for a while in your business. You can do the bookkeeping, you can keep expenses, you can hand that off to a CPA end of year, taxes are good, you're moving through on to the next season. But I think what we're really coming up against is clients who want to know they have accurate numbers, and they want to learn how to read the reports. So the whole purpose of good, accurate numbers would be so that you can read reports and make decisions off of them. So what we provide is the accurate numbers. So the basis of our service is bookkeeping, and we show them and teach them how to read the reports through what we call monthly meeting. So that first year is just organization, education. Those are my two key words I use.
The first year is grueling. The first year is grueling. There's no other word for it. It's grueling.
Yes, it is rough.
There's no way around it, really.
It feels very slow. I feel, I kind of feel like I'm back in that. I enjoy it because I kind of feel like I'm back in that classroom.
Yeah.
And I'm just working with, the clients where they're at, which most of them are still in the field. And so to think that you're going to abdicate all financial responsibility and have all the time in the world because you hire us is probably the wrong view of it. Like I said, I think we're fighting the enemy of accurate information and knowing how to read it and therefore make decisions.
So we're more education based, you could say.
Yeah, and you are going to have more time, but it does take a little bit to really get to the place that I think most people see what we to know and feel what we do.
Yeah, and to build off of that, like I said, we're more education based. Like we do leverage that with bookkeeping, but more so we kind of look at what's the most common factors in success among lawn care owners. And typically it's lawn care owners that can not only, run the business side of things, but they also can see the big picture, like on the investor side. Like if you have guys like Mike Andes or the Lawn Care Millionaire, both of those guys can, they think exactly like an investor, and they also are amazing at cutting lawns and getting things done on that end. So it's kind of marrying the two of, hey, you've got to be a lot better than just cutting grass. You got to be seeing the big picture and seeing how all the finances kind of fit into that side of the equation.
Right. So we want small businesses. So we're really trying to catch them right when they're making that mental shift. In my consultation, I ask, what's your favorite book? I mean, that's it's an icebreaker question, but also gives me an idea of what are they filling their minds with. And the answer oftentimes is Think and Grow Rich. Thank you. Think and Grow Rich by Robert Kiyosaki. And I think it's that, I read that book, and I think that was the point where that book is written so well for somebody who is making that transition and who is thinking a little bit beyond just making money, but actually building a business and recognizing what an asset is versus what a liability is, to try to buy up assets and not just, to
be
spend.
Cash rich.
Yeah, to be cash rich. So we really want our small businesses to think like a corporation would think, and maybe not make decisions like corporations do, but to really think and know how they see a statement. Because if you've got an investor in a business, they're reading profit and losses, they're reading statement of cash flows, they're reading balance sheets, and they're trying to see the whole picture of the business on, as you zoom out from it. And we would like our business owners to be able to do that. Now, maybe they never are an investor, but with the ability to see how those statements are telling them a story, how they're connected, how they're not connected, how they're different from each other, I think that will give them the confidence to work inside of that ability to then experiment, which is what business is. So more so than answering questions like, what should my pricing be? I don't know that we've ever spilled out, here, this is exactly what your pricing should be. That's really not something we answer in the monthly meetings. What we're trying to do is give them a framework, give them indicators of what successful businesses look like based on a profit and loss they know how to read, based on a cash statement they know how to read, and say, if you work within this, you're fine. Use business as an experiment and make it work for you. So oftentimes bookkeeping's it is retrospective. Not oftentimes, it's always retrospective. So more so than being able to say, hey, this is the pricing you need to be at, it's more of, hey, this pricing isn't working for you. And I know that because this number is a good standard for a healthy business, and you're either under or over depending on the metric.
That's extremely good. And so let me go back to 3 minutes ago when I said the first year is grueling. When I said the first year is grueling, it's just monotonous. But it's monotonous that must be done to get to the point where you can actually see good reports. And that's the thing of like, it's hard. Anything good comes after hard work, and it's hard work on your side of the books, as far as all the things that you have to do to get things categorized and set up for a new client. It's hard work on the business owner for getting all those things to you correctly in the right way. But you do all these things in preparation to have really good reports coming back to you for the rest of your tenure with the landscaping bookkeeper. And so it's like you put a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, a lot of time, a lot of effort into getting these things put in here, but then it's like you're building a system and a process in order.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
Well said.
And that often is the part of it that's not seen. They hear, know your numbers. If you do, you'll build the best business you've ever had because you know your numbers. And when we're trying to enter into a business, which is a little bit younger, we are really establishing that system and that process with them. And we've got it, for you. We just have to teach you how to do it and use it and communicate to us, and vice versa. We're learning a little bit more about the industry too. How can we make this simpler? How can we make it better? But in general, hopefully what we're in some ways selling to you is a system and a process of organizing those numbers that you can rely on the accuracy of the reports.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joey. Nope, you go.
I was saying, it's something that has to be done eventually.
Yeah.
You're going to get to the point where you're at the size where you have to do it.
And it's going to be way more work at that point.
Right, exactly. And that was what I was going to build off on what Megan was talking about. We usually onboard when they're, we typically say 50 to 500K in annual revenue. That's our onboarding tip. We usually won't take businesses that are over that amount simply because we basically have to rework their entire system, and it's a pain in the butt. And it's just they have their way of doing things that they've been doing for 5 or 6 years or whatever, and it's just a pain to change everything. And so we like to get businesses early on so that we can work with them and build that process over a couple of years. And by the time they get to 7 figures, it's very seamless. It's very easy to work with them.
Right. So it's not that we don't have the bigger businesses with us, but generally speaking, we want to get them young. Build that system within that first year, which, like you said, is just so monotonous and mundane. But the goal would be to have that in place. And then, obviously it gets tweaked as you get bigger. The needs change as you get bigger. Oftentimes when we get the calls from, somebody's bought out a $5 million business and they want some bookkeeping, what they really want, first of all, they don't need the landscaping bookkeeper. What they really need is probably an in-house bookkeeper or a virtual assistant who knows bookkeeping. That's kind of what they're looking for.
Yeah, and it's not that we can't handle the information.
Yeah,
it's not like we can't read your reports or anything. It's just the amount of information that has to be changed over at a business that size. It's just not even worth it to just start doing it at $5 million because there's just a ridiculous amount of information that needs to be. And that's not really what we do. There are bookkeepers that do that sort of thing, but we've decided it's just not for us. We become more of just, instead of an advisor, we're more of an organizational department. That's literally all it becomes.
And we want the infrastructure for good, really good bookkeeping, but also the monthly meetings. We think that's the key part of our business because, like I said, it's not so much time that I feel like we're fighting for our customers and our clients as much as it is accurate reports. We really want to build that data to be as accurate as we can get it for making business decisions because there's different types of accounting you can do based on your end goal. And so if we can teach them along the way while accruing good historic data for the first year and a half, then we can start, after that first year, bringing out some quarterly information that we can then build that framework so that then the business owner can feel comfortable and confident and just experiment within that.
And reports take time. And systems and processes take time. That's the thing that you have to remember when you go through this process is it takes time. It's a building. It's like you don't build a skyscraper with this very small foundation. Like you have to have a very big foundation. You have to set it. It takes a lot of time to build it. And then the skyscraper goes up pretty quickly. You spend a lot of time on that foundation. And so you spend a lot of time this first year, really 14, 16 months getting everything in here. And then you start rocking and rolling. And then you get into the systems and processes like what we're talking about now of, when you talk about running a company and thinking like a big corporation, maybe you don't make the same decisions, but you want to be able to think like that, at least have some of their, they probably have a lot of good practices that they put in place in their business, I dare would say. Their finances are probably in decent shape, and they're doing a lot of good things that are helping them get there. So you take that and you bring that down to a much smaller level for a $300,000 business owner, and you take some of those principles and you put them in place. And this is like, having a bookkeeper is one of those things. It's one of the earliest and most effective systems and processes that I feel like you can implement into your business.
Yeah.
Because you're not even having to go out and physically, like, you're not having to go train people. You're not having to go do but you're getting your business, you're getting reports for your business, you're getting the back end of your business, the side that no one wants to look at, if we're being honest, the side that the business owner doesn't want to deal with 90% of the time. That's the one, like, when that falls through the cracks, that's when you're in trouble. And if there's no one there to help you and guide you along the way, it's like Joey said, like, you're just an organization piece at this point. Like, you help the company keep organization. And if you don't do this early on in business, you will go under at some point. I'm a firm believer that you will not last long. And if you do last, you're going to end up doing it, and you're going to work your life away and have no profit to show for it at the end of the day. Like, you're going to cash flow every year and have fun cash flowing, but you're not going to be putting money in your pockets. And it's just like, why would you do that? Like, go work a 9 to 5 and take a W-2 home at the end of the year and not have near the stress that a business owner has. And that's something that I'm working through, is like figuring out profit. Like, and we talked about, we're not even going to get on this whole deal of profit, but 2 minutes, like, profit is so important. Like, if you're not making profit as a business owner, why are you doing it?
So important. It's so misunderstood. Like, try out the Landscape Bookkeeper for 6 months just so you can know what profit truly is.
Yeah, literally. Just be taught what true profit is.
What true profit is, because it's just misconceived in so many ways. I mean, there's business owners who think it's supposed to be the cash that's left in the bank. That's not true. It's business owners who, just think it's extra, and that's not the case. So it's tough, because there are two different forms of accounting. One is really just when did the cash come in, when did the cash come out? But if you make decisions based off that in our credit world, it's hard to base it off just cash. And so, teaching them, hey, this statement is reading cash, but we want to move you toward reading what was earned, and then, what was needed to be spent for that. Yeah. So it's just a lot of little things I have clients at the 1.5 year mark who finally ask the right question that tells me, okay, they finally caught on of what profit is.
Yeah.
And then, and there's obviously, like I said, we are still learning, which is the fun of it too for me. It's just like, oh, I can say it this way, and, help them see that probably a little sooner.
Yeah, because I think what's really important to me, and has been since early on, is I don't want to have just a company that is, I want to be good at what they do, but I also want to be be able to simplify everything. So I hate the finance firms that just talk above everybody's heads. Like, I can't stand that. So I want to be able to not only take the information, but also be able to give it to you in a way that anybody can understand, because that's one of the most aggravating things in finance is it's a whole nother language. And if you can't convey that language to somebody else, what good is it? So we want to be able to take complex issues and then just be able, I always say, I want to be able to explain these things to a 5 or 6 year old. Like, that's kind of my goal. I can't say that I'm there yet, but that's something that's really core to me is being able to translate all the information into really layman terms. And
so going back to that grueling year, that's what the first year is for. It's just over and over and over every single month, meeting with me or Joey, depending on, what time you schedule, and reading that profit and loss, reading that cash flow statement. Hopefully you're asking questions, because that helps me know how you're digesting the information, and, trying to really understand, like, that first month, it's going to be a number overload. But then by the second month, maybe you're starting to zone in on, okay, well, what in the world does that mean? And, I'm sitting there clicking all through QuickBooks for you. So nothing's hidden, and you can ask away as much as you need to. And so
the first year is pretty much going to be entirely organization. I mean, that. But the thing is, it's like you said, you're implementing one of the first systems, and largely we've already built that system for you. Yeah. The only thing that you're going to have to do on your end is, communication. That's about it. Yeah. And gathering some resources to send to us, but we've already built the system for you. After 1 year, it becomes more, what should I focus on based on the numbers? And then that's where the moneymaker is going to kick in, because once you get to whenever you get to let's just even say 500,000, that's a lot of numbers coming in and out of your business on a daily basis. And if you don't know what to focus on, that's when you really get stressed out, is typically that 500 to $1 million mark. You're just running around everywhere. You don't have any systems and processes. You're trying to build them. You're trying to get out of the field. You're trying to, invest into your company.
Yeah, you're still using your personal cards.
You're still cash poor. It's a very tough time. And so us being able to sit you down, and you already have 2 years worth of data or whatever the case is, and we can say, hey, this is where you should really focus your attention on. And then that's when you become the CEO. That's when you're really starting to fire on all cylinders and put yourself in the most valuable position to grow.
And we try to do that somewhat customizable. Now, granted, we're trying to package a service that will work for, we want to take somebody through a journey that will work for any client who meets a little bit of that criteria. But in general, we are also trying to customize it to you. So that's a challenge on our end of the first year, is really trying to learn your business and, what numbers could we possibly be missing here? And, this number popped up in last month's bookkeeping. What is that from? And so, trying to get all that information so that it can be a system that, like Joey said, eventually you just have to do some communication to us every month. And it's not as challenging because hopefully by then you've built a few systems on your end of, where do receipts get put? When do I upload them?
And the goal ultimately as a business owner is to get yourself in the most valuable position that you're going to be doing full time. Yep. Like you don't want to be cutting grass. You don't want to be doing the bookkeeping. You don't want to be, doing office work. You want to be get out in there and you want to be doing, marketing. That's probably what most guys are going to be doing. Selling, estimating. You want to be doing those things, around the clock. That's when you're going to draw the most value to your business. Yep. You want to be doing that the maximum amount of time. And how you get there, you have to delegate all these other lesser tasks. And eventually, maybe you're not doing anything. You got somebody else doing that. But ultimately, you want to putting yourself in the most valuable position to your company.
Right.
So you talk about delegation. That's a good transition there. Talking about delegation, getting to that point, that CEO level thinking and action taking in the business. There's a lot of things that have to happen along the way to get to that point. A lot of processes have to be put in place. A lot of things that you have to learn and grow along the way. But let me ask you this. So what are some things that y'all are seeing this time of year? 2023 is the timestamp of this podcast. And we're about to be into September here. And I feel like everybody's been crying out, recession. Hasn't really happened yet. Don't know if it's going to happen. Business has been good the last 3 years. I mean, for anybody who started within the last 3 years of business, if you've started your business within the last 3 years, you don't really know how to operate a business outside of a really good economy. And let's just be honest, like as far as people spending money goes, that's what I mean in saying a good economy. Everybody has a different opinion on that, but people are spending money. And even for me, like I haven't had to sell too hard. I've been in business 5 years. I haven't had to sell too much. And that's kind of anybody within the last really 8 to 10 years. You haven't had to do much selling, much kind of just vetting your product, being able to add a little sales touch to your process and to your business there. So there's all kinds of stuff happening in the economy. We don't know what's going to happen. What are some things that y'all are seeing this year or maybe the last couple years that you look at a business or you look at multiple businesses and you're saying these are common traits that we're seeing amongst all of our customers? And it's not one customer. It's not, if you talk about things that you're not singling anybody out, any of your customers. It's just like a general overview of, hey, this is what we're seeing. And like we've even talked, like before we recorded this, I said, look, if you see something, if there's something in even my books that you're like, yeah, like this is something that we're seeing across the board, then like talk about it, because I want to know what's going on in other people's businesses. Because when we can find something that is across the board a problem and we figure out a way to fix it, then that's when we're going to start getting somewhere. We don't need to all keep doing the same things wrong over time. Like if especially like it's kind of like you have the cure for cancer, but you don't want to give it out. Like you might not have the cure yet, but you're seeing what the cause is. Like you're starting to see the cause of why businesses are struggling so hard, because you're getting a wide variety. So what are some things that you might say, hey, look out for this if you're early in business. If you're dealing with this, then you're not the only one. How can we get through that? I know it's kind of a broad question.
multifaceted question. I'll see if I can break it down.
This is your invitation to Entrepreneur Academy Live 2023 in Novi, Michigan, Saturday, November 11th. The lineup is power-packed. You won't want to miss it. Learn from incredible speakers like Leroy Maines, Keith Kalfas, Caleb and Brittany Allman, Sam Gimbel, Weston Zimmerman, and Jeff Joyner, just to name a few. Tickets are on sale now at the early bird registration price of $197. And hurry, because seating is limited to just 300. Now through August 31st, purchase the whole ball of wax and receive a free ticket to LAL 2023, a $200 value. Once you purchase your ticket, you'll be added to our private Facebook group where you can network with other attendees, get access to the discounted hotel room block, and get the inside scoop for the Friday night party, brought to you by Kohler. Thank you to this year's sponsors, Exmark, Sure Track Trailers, Yard Book, and Boss Snowplow for helping to bring this incredible event to life. We can't wait to see you November 11th, Novi, Michigan, at L'Entrepreneur Academy Live 2023. Get your ticket today at l'entrepreneuracademy.com or use the link in the podcast description. L'Entrepreneur Academy Live.
So the cool thing about lawn care, first I'll start off, is it's a business model that's already been solved. You have to do it. The guys that are doing it have already solved it. You just replicate it. It's not like a tech startup where you're going out and you're trying to innovate a new product. You know, you're being a copycat, an imitator. You know, it's one of the best business models to be in because it's the most consistent. So you're not trying to develop a new software or something and blaze a trail. You know, you just literally have to look at what the big guys are doing and just copy them to a certain extent and customize it, you know, your unique selling proposition, whatever that might be. And then in terms of like economics, I would say that one of the biggest reasons we chose lawn care, I mean, we love the people and we're in Florida, so it just makes a lot of sense. I don't see lawn care really getting hit by a recession very hard, simply because, you know, the grass is always going to grow. It has to get cut. You know, sure, your services are getting more pricey, but so are all the assets that are needed to cut grass anyway. You know, they have to go out and buy lawn care or, you know, lawn mowers, whoever needs to cut their own grass. Financing is not as easy because the Fed keeps raising interest rates, so it's not easy to get financing anymore. You know, so the grass is always going to grow, and somebody has to do it. So that's all I'll say about that. But
and robotics are not to the point where they can take over yet.
What's that?
And robotics are not to the point where they can totally take over yet.
No, if anybody is on the hook, it's probably going to be the white collar jobs, if I had to guess. So, you know, the manual labor is not going anywhere.
Anything that ChatGPT can replace. I don't see ChatGPT replacing a guy with a weed eater and a mower. So
no, that's a ways away. If we ever even get there. And in terms of commonalities of problems, I think it really just depends on what stage you're at in business. What I do see a lot is I see guys killing it in the summer, making a lot of money and giving it all back in the winter. So that kind of drives me crazy. You know, it's like at least break even during the winter, which is one service that we do offer, is giving you your break even point while you are, you know, trying to prepare for winter, because I'll see guys hit 20% profit and then they're hitting negative 20% all winter, and then by the time April comes around, they have no money to restart their business. You know, you're
literally it's a startup every year. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, so that's a big problem. Are there anything that you can think of off the top of your head?
You know, one of the most recent ones, and this is going to be really broad because I think we're starting to see a cause, but like you said, we haven't found the cure per se. You know, we don't know exactly what it is, except for, I think one of the biggest problems that lawn care and landscaping owners have to solve is their employee or their labor, I suppose.
It's tough.
You know, that's one of the real complaints these days I hear in the meeting, is just finding good helpers. But, you know, I think in general, there could be a lot of different solutions because it is such a big problem in the industry. But, you know, two quick mentions is, number one, you know, we do what's called a salary cap, and it's not just, you know, marketed. We're not the ones that came up with it. In fact, it's Greg Crabtree. He really simplifies it. So it's his book. I'm going to get this one wrong too, but I think it's Simple Numbers, Straight Profit. I think that's what it is.
It's a good book.
Yeah, it's a great book. And so, you know, in terms of, well, this one has already been said, Jeremiah, but let me just repeat it. It's not knowing your true profit. So that's number one problem for many gentlemen. And we've barked that out on both Paul's podcast. I think we've done it here, but let me just start there because all the other problems do build off of that. So the first one is not paying yourself a
reasonable salary. And if you don't pay yourself, at least understanding that that metric is not being shown on the profit and loss.
Yeah.
That's key number one, because that's a huge metric of your core service is your labor, and specifically you as the business owner. So then number two would be, okay, well, if you do have a labor problem, which, like I said, that's just been one of the ones that has come up recently, is number one, recognizing what are some benchmarks around that labor that would make your business have a good labor efficiency, and calculating that, and then staying within that range or that maximum, I should say.
Obviously the number one.
Because labor is the number one, right?
And basically any service industry, not just lawn care.
Yeah, and we're speaking to our ideal client, which is probably largely recurring maintenance. Probably some commercial contracts and some installations, but really the core of their business is this recurring revenue idea, whether that's biweekly or weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And so labor is going to be the one you have to solve for that type of model. And so having some sort of maximum labor dollar amount that you work within for your labor, while understanding that your labor is not on the books, both for the work in the field you do, but also for the back office admin. And we played around with some numbers. Honestly, there's nothing here I'm going to spit out as a labor number, just because we're also really defining that. And we're trying out some ideas. I think the salary cap exercise we did with a lot of our
I think we've done
clients that have done,
actually.
We did. Clients that have done past a year. That was really helpful. And, obviously even those exercises for me to go through the clients with are good too. But the second thing, I don't know that I've solved this, but I think it's just a thought I'm going to say, and maybe you'll have some comments on it even in the conversation, would be, I find that in the clientele that we serve, who, like I said, their model is basically recurring revenue in a residential area, although there are, other services they offer. I find that I don't think they realize that what they are is the problem to somebody's life for a season. And this is my first time trying to articulate it, other to maybe Joey one time. Maybe that was the thing we were talking about on the walk. But I don't think they market very well whenever they are going out to hire, because there's going to be very few positions in that model where you can really help somebody, whatever your, employee, you're promising your employee. There's very few positions where they're going to move from, just mowing the lawn all the way up to, let's say, crew lead is the next step, but
like a general manager of a division or something like that.
There's very few employees that are going to stick with you for 20 years.
Right, exactly. I'm trying to say, the problem is they're not marketing themselves correctly. It's
the
just
businesses aren't.
The business owners to future employees.
Yeah.
And the labor problem, I think, is a bad, everything at the end of the day comes down to selling, right? And so I find that they don't market to their employees well.
Potential employees.
Potential employees. Yeah, you're right. Potential employees well. And so, maybe I don't know exactly like I said, I don't have the cure. Maybe they're too grandeur of what they can do for them. And really, I think they need to market, you can stick with us for a season and it really help you in that season, whether this is your first job and you want to make some money for the first time, or whether for a season, you just got a divorce and you really need some extra income coming in, or, for that season, or whatever the season may look like. It seems as if in this industry, you're not going to be able to provide somebody some real clear path all the way to, 30 grand to 150 grand or something like that. Although I think there's a few in there that might be the case.
Businesses are good at marketing their company, but they're not good at marketing their company to potential employees. So it's almost like the idea that everything's marketing, everything's selling. Like it's kind of that thing. And you have to have a system and process in order, if you are going to have a high turnover rate, what do you do?
Right.
How do you train your employees? How do you get them, maximizing your profit at a certain time period, retention's not out of the question either. How do you retain and keep employees for a long period of time?
Sure.
But yeah, it's just, I think people or business owners spend a lot of time marketing to potential yards and not employees. Employees are going to be a big deal to your company. So it's something really important to think about.
Yeah. And so maybe the core issue is they hire without any systems and processes in place, just like our bookkeeping.
I think that's huge.
That first major insert. I think oftentimes they're hiring a day help who kind of turns into, oh, that's nice, maybe he can do more, which turns into maybe he finally gets on the W-2 instead of a 1099. And then, there's no systems and processes in place for that laborer. And so that would be my other just thought as I'm working through these meetings and trying to assimilate the information they're giving me. It seems as if a big problem with the hiring is, there are no systems and processes for that laborer. And what are you promising them? Obviously, paycheck, but you've got to go a little higher than that if you do want to see some retention.
Yeah, that's good. And that's something that we're really working through right now. Like we just had a meeting literally today with our guys about how we're going to change things moving forward, kind of just put systems and processes in place, little things that we're going to start doing just to try to make communication more seamless, and company handbooks, policies, putting things in place to make it feel, like we said, corporation level on a small business level. You take good practices that they do, and you just dumb them down to your level a little bit. And that's kind of what we're doing now. And I tell you this, have you seen, I would hope you have, it's not, I don't hope this on anyone, but I feel like it's something that everyone goes through. When the business owner tries to remove themselves from the field or uses that process to get out of the field, of putting people around you, delegating, things like that, when they bring people on their team, they get out of the field, but they see labor drop. They see productivity drop. But they're...
I almost say it every time. Yeah, I tell people this before it even happens because it's literally what happens almost 99% of the time.
And it's going to drop. So, here's my question. It's going to drop. We know that. But how do lawn and landscape is it's a business off of productivity. Things have to get done. It's not a Chick-fil-A. You can't tell a worker you're going to work from 8 to 5 Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you clock in, clock out, you go home, whether stuff gets done or not. This is a productivity based business. You have to work until the work gets done. So how do you recommend, are you seeing, what are thoughts in the process of getting that labor cost down while also keeping productivity high and staying out of overtime every single week? Because does that make sense? Not because they're dragging their feet. It's just the fact that they just go slower. They don't move as fast as you do when you're there. Does that make sense? Is that coming through?
Yeah. So obviously we've never owned a lawn care company, so I'm not going to tell you all the best ways to control labor. We can just tell you if labor is less than or above par, than the other companies that we're seeing. But I would just look to companies that are killing it. Me and Megan like Mike Andes a lot with Augusta Lawn Care. He's selling franchises because he's created a systemic, repeatable business model over and over again. And he uses pay for performance. So we do have some clients that use that. I think I do like the headspace of it, just because I'm not a big fan of paying hourly. It's just. They're going to get paid more for the more
it's
time.
It's a failing system. It is a failing system. It's a failing system.
So
it's a failing system. Yeah, you're also not teaching some really important concepts when you just do hourly. And who knows the real fix? Obviously, Mike has his product that seems to work for some, but I even know some business owners that struggle with it, where their employees aren't even close to making that pay for performance, amount. And so they're really struggling trying to motivate the guys. But, if you're going to go from an hourly rate and then try to enact some sort of, hey, I'll pay you for your ability to, own part of your job, that's a very hard transition, which is really what pay for performance is trying to teach them, is to give them ownership of the job, which I think is huge. I mean, if I'm going to use language, that might be a little bit of the language I would use. But I think business owners, and I'm right there with Joey, it's now we're going a little bit beyond the numbers into, the systems and processes, and the numbers will show you when that system and process isn't working, but it's not like it can really tell you exactly what to do.
Well, that's when I go back to, your business is something that's already been solved. Reach out to people that have solved that problem, or find out what they're doing and try and implement it. That would be my advice. I'm not going to sit here and act like I've solved this problem, because I haven't. We have our business. Right. We have different types of employees that we have to market to. So a lot of the mindset that we're coming to you at, we've solved within our business, but it's it's an entirely different problem to solve in terms of marketing to potential employees.
I think one thing to remember for business owners, and everybody's kind of at a different stage, but you are likely going to have to hire 2 laborers in order to originally replace you.
Yeah.
So, and even I think Dave Ramsey will say that, if you want to move out of the business, you're going to be paying 2 people to do the work you used to do.
So tell me this. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm seeing that to be true, like where I'm at in business, where it's like, okay, I'm getting to the really hard stuff to delegate. Not that it's, impossible, obviously, but it is hard because I know Jeremiah's books. I know this person's books. I really deeply know this person's books. How do I possibly relay all that information to somebody who's just getting going? And so, some of those abilities that I can do because I've done it for so long and started it, I'm probably going to have to hire 2 people in 2 very different roles.
So this is going to be a simple question to you, I would think, and it's going to sound kind of stupid, but tell this to the audience who doesn't have a bookkeeper, who doesn't look at their numbers, who doesn't look at these reports the way that they should. What are some things that you should be looking for if you're paying too much in labor? Like, is there a number in your business? How do you tell if your labor percentage is too high? If your guys are not producing what they should be producing? Like, other than the fact of, hey, I'm paying a lot of money, we're hitting overtime every week, and we're still not getting things done. Like, other than the obvious, is there a number? Is there some type of system that y'all see that works on your end that is like, hey, check this number? Aside from, we talked about the salary cap of like what you should be paying, which is good. Maybe expound on that more if that's the answer. But is there something there that is like, hey, let's figure this out, and it's going to help us solve this issue? It's just one step in the process.
Sure.
Yeah, me and Megan are really, we've got a good system for it, but we're trying to really perfect it.
Yeah, I think it's beta.
But I can give you a good response. Like, a lot of what we see is, you're largely the owner's going to be in the field for, under $1 million. They're going to be in the field a lot of the time. And so they're not clocking in and clocking out. So
do they have to be though? We don't have time for this. This is going to have to be a different. We're going to have to do a whole other show because we're going to have to wrap this up. I know y'all have to go, but do they have to be? Do they have to be in the field to $1 million, or is that just what society has made?
I'm not saying they are to $1 million, but more or less they will be in there some.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you should.
Do they have to be? No.
I think you should get out of the field as fast as you can. Like that's kind of my thoughts.
Right. But I will say some of that depends on how much has to go to the personal side. Like Mike Andes could build that so fast and so efficiently because he slept in Planet Fitness and wasn't married and yada yada. So it also depends on the personal side.
It depends on how much of equity you suck out of your business early on. That's largely what it comes down to. Now, in terms of labor, we really like profit first. We haven't figured out how to technically implement it. I mean, there's ways to do it, but I haven't seen anybody really do it successfully in lawn care yet because it is. Because largely the problem that I see is people want to start doing profit first 5 years in, and it takes a while to be able to start doing it because it is like a big number crunch. So what we normally see is I look at gross profit, and so if I'm seeing your labor percentage above 40% once we add in your salary, I don't generally see that as a profitable business. I like to see it. The industry average is about 34-35% in terms of how much labor you should be spending in the field.
Yeah, in the field, just field labor, not back office work.
So that's about the average. If you're hitting in the 40s, you're really probably not profitable. And, 30, anything under 30 is absolutely phenomenal. So that's some cold, hard numbers for you. But yeah, it really just depends on, it really is hard as long as the owner's in the field because we don't know how much they're contributing. I can ask them and they can be like, they can totally guess. And then you run into the problem of, well, I did twice as much in an hour than somebody else would have, and so it's not even a good replacement there, so I would say get your personal finance under control, suck as little equity out of the business as you can, retain it all in the company, and then use that extra money to grow with if you can. It's not always feasible. But I think that's the formula for fast growth. And everybody doesn't want to be on the fast track either.
Yeah.
A lot of people like the slower. If you have a family, you probably want to be on the slower side. It really just depends on where you're at in life. But totally delegation, retaining equity in your company. Those are 2 big ones. But yeah, anyway, I hope that answers your question.
No, that's good. And so we'll wrap up with this. Like if you like you just said, the 30%, 35, 40% of what you should be spending on labor. Like, hey, there's a lot of you out there that probably don't know that. You don't know what you're spending because you don't have any type of bookkeeper. You don't have no reports. You have none of this stuff that you're checking. So that's a good like pitch, plug, sell, whatever you want to call it, to wrap this thing up of like, hey, this is the importance of getting somebody on your team like this, because if you don't, like, you don't know these things. There's a lot of guys who just don't, like, I don't spend the time figuring out those percentages to know what my labor is. Like, but when we sit down at a monthly meeting and go through these reports, it's like, okay, it's slapping you in the face. Like, you can't avoid it much longer.
You can't take just your bank account and know that information, which is sort of goes back to that true profit idea. Like, if you're just taking your bank account and trying to like look at paychecks and how much came out for paychecks and how much came out for ADP, whoever your payroll provider is, if you're just taking that number and trying to divide it by all the deposits in your bank account, that is not at all how that percentage works. So, I mean, maybe you're close depending on the situation.
If you ever want to sell your business, you need a clean set of books. Like, there's no way I'm going to buy a business that's not going to tell me how much they made. And what really is a good selling point for selling your business is what has been your growth rate over the last 5 years. If you have 5 years worth of data and I can see that you're compounding at 80 or 100% per year or something, like that's a good selling point for me, rather than, I've got, 1 year of data. I don't know what my growth rate is, so how do you even factor in how fast you're going to be growing into the future? Because a lot of forecasting is just, looking retrospectively. So it's nice to have that data, and it will help you. So that it's kind of a win-win there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, guys. Well, there you go. That's all we got for you. I don't think we even need to go any further. We're going to need to do another second show because there's so much stuff we didn't get into. But for this one, I think that's good. Check out the landscapingbookkeeper.com. Check out Megan and Joey. They can definitely help you change the business as far as the books go. Is there anything else we're missing? Y'all are also on social media now, right?
Finally,
it's a big step.
We should bring that up.
So we hate social media so much that we decided we would never do it ourselves. So we just decided to hire somebody, and so they do it. And so now, she does. She's amazing. Yeah,
she's awesome. Anyway, the Landscaping Bookkeeper on both Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. As soon as I got the friend request, I was like, oh, finally, like they're finally here. People can go see them. And they were showing us Joey Stripes the other day for mowing the yard.
Hilarious.
Hey, I will say, in my defense, I've never seen anybody with stripes in Florida. Like,
no.
You go to Kansas, it's stripes all over the place. Florida, no.
Stripe from Tennessee down, there's no stripes.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a funny story because we also play spike ball with her and her husband. So we're friends, but she's also doing this paid. She walks back out to our 2 acres that he had just mowed that day. I was like, she's like, do I see stripes? And she's like, just Joey, smile. And so all of a sudden he's just like, has no idea. Like,
yeah, it was unintentional. Very faint stripes there are. It was unintentional.
It was very unintentional.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, good deal, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us. I know y'all's time is valuable, and so you need to get on out and go pick up Mr. Neal, right? Is it that time to go get him? So,
you too, Jeremiah. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the show today. If it was a help to you, leave us a big 5-star rating and review. Those help us just continue to grow the community one relationship at a time, which is what we're here for. So, without any further ado, that's going to wrap this one up. And we look forward to everybody here on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green podcast. It is an honor to have you listening, and we hope you receive valuable advice to help take your business to the next level. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.